Thank you. Can we go on to Catherine Foster at GB News?
Thank you, Catherine Foster, GB News.
Microphones everywhere.
Again, Catherine Forster, GB News.
Yeah.
You've accused the government of committing electoral fraud, but they say that they're just trying to devolve powers back to local communities.
Oh, yes.
Don't they have a point? And also, the inquiry onto the Dawn Sturgis murder has found that Putin is morally responsible. Is that your view too? Because at the time that the Skripals were still in hospital, didn't you say that the then government had jumped the gun in blaming Russia? Thank you.
I didn't know what had happened. There was a poisoning. Do I think Putin's a monster? I think he proves that with every single week that goes by. I think, my friend Donald Trump genuinely thought he could somehow get the Ukrainians, the Russian leaders together and forge some kind of sensible compromise to end the sort of scale of killing we've not seen on a battlefield since probably World War I, or maybe Stalingrad, going on in Europe. And Putin proves with every week that goes by that he's not rational, that he doesn't want a just settlement, and that frankly he is an incredibly dangerous man. So of that there is absolutely no doubt. And by the way, this makes me laugh with this mob that we pay money to every year, and others. I'm pro-Putin. Because I once said in 2013, I admired him as a leader, but disliked him as a human being and wouldn't live in the Soviet Union. Shortly after, and I'm a Russian asset, apparently, according to Starmer, for doing that. A year after that, the Queen met him. Whether she was a Russian asset, I'm not entirely sure. So that's that. In terms of devolution, well, the definition of devolution, of course, is passing power from central government down so that decision-making is nearer the people. Tendring District Council, which has 2 parliamentary constituencies in it, is geographically right out on the eastern front of Essex. It's quite tough to get to by road and by rail, but it does have an identifiable district council, one that arguably, indeed Peter Harris was leader of it a couple of years ago, one that arguably has been better led than many councils in the country, that is not saddled with a great degree of debt, and they will be giving all their powers away and up to a higher amorphous unitary, probably based in Colchester, but we don't know, Peter, where it's going to be based or what it's going to be, and the county of Essex will be divided up into 3, 4 or 5 separate unitaries. So I just don't buy this. And very interestingly, Bob Russell, who was the Lib Dem Member of Parliament for Colchester for many years, he and I have been at one on this, and it's nice to agree with them occasionally on something. And he says, well, back in 1973 was the last major government reorganisation, but nobody cancelled elections of any kind. They actually held elections to see what the electorate thought of what the proposed changes were. And that argument now seems to be out of the window. So I just don't buy devolution in every sense, because district councils are handing powers up to unitaries. And I think the upshot of this will be that the smaller rural communities around our country will find themselves increasingly governed by decisions made by cities or major towns and big population centres. And I think, given, frankly, the assault that this government has launched on our rural communities, this will go down very, very badly indeed. Harry Horton, ITV News.
Thank you very much. I've spoken to a number of people from Dulwich
Good for
College.
you. Let's move on to the Times,
Stefan
shall we?
Baranok. He says he can remember you
Very good.
making hissing noises
Very
towards
good.
Peter Atedja.
Harry, you are
Jewish
wasting your
people.
time. Bernard Manning. Bernard Manning. Bernard Manning. Do you want to hear some of the Bernard Manning jokes on ITV?
These are pretty serious allegations.
I'm sure they are.
Remember you
I'm
making
sure they are.
hissing noises
Very
towards
good.
Jewish people
Very good.
and joking about how Hitler should have guessed it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do you,
I'm sure.
like your deputy leader,
I'm sure.
think these allegations are also made up?
Shall I reread this letter to you? Shall I reread this letter to you? There was plenty of macho, tongue-in-cheek schoolboy banter when I was there with Farage. I was a Jewish pupil. It was humour, sometimes offensive, but never with malice. And I'm just frankly, Harry, as I say, you were the channel of Bernard Manning. He occasionally appeared on the Beeb. Your channel, at the same time that I'm accused of saying this, which I deny in any malicious or nasty way, at the same time as that, you every single week had homophobic content, you had racist content, you had all sorts of content which these days you'd be locked up for. So let's cut the double standards from British broadcasters, shall we? I've made it as clear as I'm going to. Max Kendricks on the Times.
Thank you. There's a plan by Labour to change election rules to stop donations by crypto. Do you think that's specifically an attack on you and your party, especially considering the donor who is a big crypto investor? And I wonder, you read out one letter there and you said you had others.
Yeah.
How many of your former pupils have written to you?
I've had half a dozen letters from people I was at school with. There may be more in the email system somewhere. I don't know. I've had other letters from school which I'm just not going to make public because you'll chase after them and make their lives a misery. So I shan't do that. Look, we are the only political party that even understands the 21st century revolution that cryptocurrencies are. We've already published our white paper for what we do to make London a centre for crypto trading. I have been to meet the Governor of the Bank of England, whose attitude towards stablecoins frankly belongs, well, not even to the 20th century, but way back to the 19th century. There are currently 7 million holders of digital assets in this country. That is, in fact, I think that may actually have gone up since the 7 million. It'll be 10 million within the year. 1 in 4 under 30s have confidence in digital assets, and yet the Conservative and Labour parties literally don't understand what we're even talking about. And we are being left behind on AI, being left behind on data centres, being left behind on crypto, massively behind on robotics. I mean, to a level you can't even believe. And we are the only party that actually gets this, understands this, wants to embrace this. But we're being resisted by the Bank of England, we're being resisted by the FCA, we're being resisted by the Labour Party, resisted by the Conservative Party. But I think we're on the side of what is a major, major attitudinal change to money, and dare I say it, sovereignty at an individual level. And as one that was famously debanked and have now recently been de-accounted and de-insured and de-pension platformed, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. So we're the first political party to say, yes, of course, you can donate to us in crypto. And I think the statement that the Labour Party have made on this is aimed directly at us. And goodness knows what other horrors the elections bill will have when it's published at some point. This government has no respect for liberty, freedom or democracy whatsoever. And they're doing everything they can to save their own skins. But we absolutely believe that cryptocurrencies are a vital part of our economic future, both for Britain and for the free world, and for individuals who want to have control over their own money, where government or banks acting under political influence can't damage their lives. And I say that personally with a very, very high degree of passion. Jack Elsom from The Sun, who broke this story last night.